Here's Metamorphose. Patrick's sitting here with all this open mana, so you have to imagine that this is at least a little scary.
Yeah.
Shuffling those cards back and forth in his hand, currently up a game. Vendilion Click, I'm sure, gave him an idea of what Emma is working with.
And I would think post-board Emma would be interested in Empty the Warrens. It can be a little frustrating if your control opponent leaves their Wrath of God effects in. But it just seems like it would be so difficult for her to resolve some of her important payoff spells in order to build a Storm Count to Grape Shot the opponent out.
Metamorphose going to draw handy a card. Use some of this red mana for a Desperate Ritual. All right, that's good. Now, doing all of this without a cost reducer is definitely the hard way.
It is.
Yeah.
The mana doesn't go up quite as quick.
No, it does not. Is it time for gifts? It's time for Past in Flames. Take a look at the graveyard. A bunch of stuff down there. 2 Metamorphose, a Pyretic Ritual. Let's make it 2 of those, actually. And 3 Metamorphose. A Desperate Ritual. Sleight in Hands. Peer Through Depths. A bunch of dead cost reducers. Makes sense why there isn't one on the battlefield.
Yeah, and the Past in Flames is one of the cards that I can't imagine resolving in this matchup.
I'd be a little surprised if it did. I think it's just a little too good to resolve.
It looks like it did resolve.
Well, now I'm just curious what's going on in his hand now. Here's Pyretic. See if this resolves. No mana floating right now. Now we're reaching. Dispel.
It's pretty efficient.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Looks like that's spell 8. All right. Grape Shot. This twice and you a bunch.
I believe it's 9 total copies.
That's what it looks like. Cryptic Command. Bounce. That. Deal you 7. Yeah, and now we're just on E. So, yeah, Patrick Reynolds having stuff there with all that mana open, not much of a surprise.
Yeah.
And that's just difficult for the Storm player, Emma Handy, to overcome.
Yeah, and it's great to have that Vendilion Click back in the grip, too.
And one of the best cards against Storm.
Yeah, you could get to go after the grip again.
Awesome clock.
Yeah, puts the card on the bottom instead of into the graveyard.
Yeah. There's his team fence untapped. Reynolds looks like he's going to fall down to 10. He's just going to pass the turn back with a wall of mana available and a couple of cards in hand. So for Handy, tried to go off unsuccessfully.
Well, she got halfway there.
Yeah.
Which, there's something to be said for that, because if she does it again, the second time she only needs to go halfway there.
Yeah, and halfway is good enough the second time. I can agree with that. Will Vendilion Click resolve? It looks like Emma does have a Remand in hand, but Patrick also has quite a few cards in hand too.
Players in the Standard Classic pairings for round 4 are going to the boards now by the grill and are online at pairings.starcitygames.com. Players in the Standard
Here's a gifts in response.
I would think there's a very small chance of this one resolving.
I think it's a little too good to resolve.
Interesting thing about Patrick's deck here is that in the sideboard he doesn't have Graveyard Hate.
Here's Remand on the on the gifts. Adorable. But I think she might just end up losing the gift still. Yes, to target you. See, no graveyard here for Patrick? No rest in peace? Nothing?
Nothing.
Interesting. Gift's going to go to the bottom.
You know, he's saying, I don't ever want to side out my Snapcaster Mages or my Torrential Gear Hulk, so I'm not going to have any Graveyard Hate. In a situation like this where you can start, you know, using Snapcaster Mage to cast these cryptic commands out of the graveyard, where you counter a spell and then you bounce the Snapcaster Mage back to your hand, gets pretty crazy.
Yes, it does. Sleight of hand, perhaps? It'll be a Serum Visions first. Draw a card, scry 2. Looks like it may have been Swan Song and Desperate Ritual. The Ritual looks like it's going to head to the top, Swan Song to the bottom. There's also a Swan Song currently in hand for Handy. And now a Lightning Bolt 2. Lightning Bolt is an answer to that Vendilion Click. Here's Sleight of Hand.
Yeah,
Resolve.
I don't think Emma even wants to get the click off of the board. I think she has to build, you know, a bunch of cards up and try to go off again.
You think Lightning Bolt might be going to the head?
Yeah, it makes her storm count threshold so much smaller.
Interesting.
You know, she could take 2 more shots from this click before she decides that she actually has to bolt it. The question is, does a Snapcaster Mage or Gear Hulk or a Celestial Colonnade show up between then and now to really gum up her plan? Stop. All right, she is going to try to bolt it right now.
All right, that looks like it's going to work.
Yeah,
Yep.
This is a bad time for Patrick to fight over a card. He doesn't want to end up using a bunch of mana on his own turn.
Yeah, that would be bad news. Reynolds will draw.
That is the power of some of these Jeskai control decks, is they can play almost exclusively on the opponent's turn, always have the mana up.
And the opponent has to guess about what they're playing around.
Yep.
Burn spells, counter spells, Vendilion Click, Snapcaster Mages, all of it. Bit of a guessing game.
The big Torrential Gear Hulk.
Sphinx is Rev 2.
Sphinx's Rev.
We're going to go back over to Handy. Brawl, the draw. Be shocked if that lived. Jeskai Control just does such a great job against singular creatures. Bolts and helixes and paths and everything else that having to rely on those is just going to be so difficult.
Emma does have the Swan Song to try to force something through here, which is a very efficient counter spell.
Lightning Helix going upstairs.
We're going to start the burnout plan.
Yeah, we go to Snapcaster now, right? There's Remand. Empty the Warrens, the draw. That was a card you felt like she should go to after sideboard?
Yep.
Six cards in hand here for Reynolds. He's just going to do what he's been doing, which is draw, pass.
Yeah, and attack from that Snapcaster Mage plus the Lightning Helix being flashbacked is 5 points of damage. I think Emma's hand is just forced here.
Got to make a move now.
Where, yeah, she's going to have to make a move.
There's blue to Delta. Down to 4 at least. 3's a little risky.
3 is mega risky.
Yeah.
But she'll start off with Brawl and try to resolve some rituals here and flashback this Past in Flames, and we'll see what happens.
There's Brawl. It looks like that's going to be in. Perhaps. All right. There's your mana counters and your storm counter. So 1 spell so far.
Yeah, let's do this.
Well, there's got to try. Here's Desperate Ritual, spell 2.
Yep, that's good.
Up to 3 red. That's got to be Past in Flames in the graveyard, yep. So is this where Reynolds makes his move? Because we know he's got a Snapcaster Mage. And a graveyard full of stuffs. Path to Exile. Yep.
Emma's graveyard is so big. I don't think she needs this Baral anymore. She's just going to get a ton of rituals out of the graveyard.
Yeah, I think I'm with you.
I don't know, maybe she did use a bunch of them with the previous Past in Flames.
I don't think she used a ton. I mean, this could also be building Storm Count too. You know, so here's Swan Song on Path. I mean, it's much easier, obviously, if Brawl's alive. And you want to ensure that your Past in Flames is going to resolve.
Yeah, that's the most important thing.
Because now Patrick can go, all right, that resolves. Snapcaster, Cryptic, the Past in Flames. And then where are you?
Yeah, Emma's going to need another counterspell here to protect her combo to go off here.
Mm-hmm. And it looks like there may be a question here, perhaps?
Well, Baral countered something, so she's going to get to...
Get the loot?
Yeah, loot.
I guess that's a trigger you can miss. It's also maybe still on the stack.
Oh, it is still on the stack.
There's Path there. I think the last card in Handy's hand is a Remand. To go along with that Empty the Warrens that we already knew about. So here's Remand on the Path. And now this is Snapcaster on Dispel. So that's going to do it.
Yeah, and she didn't have another mana to start casting all of the things out of the graveyard.
Yeah, to be able to keep going. And that's the biggest issue, as Patrick Reynolds is going to win this match here over Emma Handy. 2-0. Jeskai Control will take care of Blue-Red Gift Storm. And for Reynolds, one of those 8 Jeskai Control players in day number 2. He is 9-2-1. Handy's going to slide down to 8-3-1. And so Patrick still very much in top 8 contention.